Hello, welcome back to class. I'm super excited for our journey so far. Now, this is where is to start getting interested when we get to topics like JavaScript and PHP. Okay, now, like I said, JavaScript is for the front end, but what JavaScript does is add functionalities to it. So, this is how it works. You have HTML, which is used to create the structure of the website. Then you have CSS, which to make the website beautiful. Then you need JavaScript to add functionality on the website. So let's say, for example, I build a house. If I want the house to be beautiful, I have to paint it. Then if I want the house to be functional, I have to install an AI intelligence, whereby I can just, probably you've seen in movies where they clap their hand or call an AI name and install that AI and the house do some things without you stressing yourself. So that is what JavaScript is used for, to add more functionalities to your website. Okay, now I'm going to be creating a JavaScript folder inside our internship program. Then I'll call the JavaScript folder JS. So you should know why I'm doing this. So in here I'll create a JavaScript file. So I'll do script.js. So now I've created my JavaScript file. So I have already created my CSS file, which is style.css. So I'm going to link both of them to my HTML like I did earlier. Then I'll explain why. So I'm going to do link. So this should be the link tag. Then here I'm going to say go to CSS, then use my style sheet. Okay, then I'll go ahead and at the bottom I'm going to write a script tag. Then this script tag I'm going to indicate where the script is. So this time around JS, then I'm going to indicate script.js. Okay, let me explain why this is like this. Now, any function or any code I write here in JavaScript, if I decide to put this script tag where this guy is, so let me just do some div tag that will have, okay, let me do a section that will have a div tag, and this div tag will have an h1 tag. So then I would write working. Okay, let me do, yes, working. So I'll save. So let me come here and refresh. So I have working. Okay, so this is how it works. Now, JavaScript are functions that need to work when your website has finished loading. So for example, I want a situation whereby, let me do a button tag here. So let me just say click me. Or let me use the word sign up. Then save. So I want a situation whereby when I click on this button, the user should be able to sign up. Probably the form the user filled should be sent. Now, let me just use the functionality of JavaScript. Now, for me to be able to click this button, this website needs to load completely. But this is where the error is when you put your script tag at the top. Now, your HTML load line by line. So it will start from this, then go to this, then go to this. Then when it comes to connect your CSS and load everything in your CSS. So every code you have in your CSS will be loaded once you get to this place, which why you don't have any problem. So what happens is, for JavaScript for your CSS to manipulate the JavaScript, you need to pick them one after the other. So that's why it's much more mandatory for your CSS to finish loading before your JavaScript code loads. But if you put your Java CSS at the bottom, then all your HTML will have finished loading before your JavaScript code start working. So which will make it work. So that is why it's always advisable you put your CSS at the top, which will make your CSS code finish working before your JavaScript works, before your HTML works, sorry, or loads. So why with JavaScript? JavaScript does not work like CSS. You don't need your JavaScript to finish loading. You need your HTML to finish loading before your JavaScript works. But with CSS, you need the CSS to finish loading before the HTML load. While in JavaScript, you need the HTML to finish loading before the JavaScript loads. But when you place it at the top of the screen, at the top, it will finish loading the JavaScript before your HTML code start loading, which will make your JavaScript code of function. So that's why it's always advisable you put it at the bottom, So it comes immediately before your closing body tag, so that by the time your HTML are finished loading, then your JavaScript code can start working. So that is why CSS is put at the top of the code inside the head tag, while JavaScript is put at the bottom inside the body tag, but it will be the last thing you have before the body tag. Okay, so that's for that. Okay, let's start making some code. Okay, now there are different topics in JavaScript, and there is how you write JavaScript also, but I'll explain them in a minute. So we have different topics we'll be looking at. The first one we'll be looking at is called variables. So I'll be doing a comment. So variables. Now see it as in you are doing maths. So I can just do whereby they say, okay, add up this. Let me just easily spin these guys up. Up, up. Okay, so variables is like saying in mathematics, let a be equals to 5, then we can say b is equals to 15, then we can say c is equals to 25. So if I want to do addition, I can say a plus b. What will that give me? So a plus b should give me, so 10, 15, 5, 15 will give me 20. So then let's say c minus a will also give me 20. So now you know anywhere you see a, you have 5. So a is representing 5, b is representing, so b is representing 15. So c is representing 25. So in this case, you're having 5 plus 15, which gives you 20. Then you're having 25 minus 5, which also gives you 20. So these alphabet are known as variable in math. So in JavaScript, they work the same way. So variables are just containers that holds data. We'll get to the different kind of data we have in JavaScript. So now there are 3 ways you can create a variables in JavaScript. There is the var keyword. So there is what we call the var keyword. Var keyword. There is the let keyword. And there is the const keyword. So these are three methods you create variables. So let's say I want to create a variable. The method is I'll do the word var. So this should be in small letters. Sorry. Then what follows next is the variable name. So I have to do a variable name. Then equal to then a value. Let's just say, okay, value. So this is the structure when you're creating a variable. So a good example is var. Let's say this is equals to 20. So this is my variable name, then this is my value. So I can decide to do again var, okay, let age equals 20. So I can go ahead and do, to make this console.log so that I see the addition. So I can do JSA plus age. So if I save this, come to my browser, for me to see this, I have to right click on my browser, click on inspect. So that is where you see most of your JavaScript code. Okay, I think the best way, let me not use the console, let me use the alert. I'll explain a little bit. I think that one is much more better. So the alert would enable me just see the answer on my browser. So if I add them rightly, so I hope I added, okay. Okay, let me do the console. Console.log. So if I come here, hope I don't have anything disturbing my code. Okay, I think I have to take this guy out. That's one thing that might disturb my code. So inspect, then I can just bring this. Okay, so let me just come to console, then refresh my page. Sorry if I do this guy right. So if I save, refresh my page, you can now see that I'm having 30 here, which is this. So I can just return this back to 20. So if I refresh, that should update me to 40. So another way I can display my information is by using what we call document.log. So document.write. So this will write on my screen. So if I save, come back, refresh, instead of having the 40 here, I'll have the 40 here. So I think the best thing is to take out these ones here. So let me just take out the working and the button so that I have my content directly showing here. So you can have 14. So now there's a difference between the let keyword and the var keyword. So and then the const. So the difference is this: I can decide to change the values of age. So I can say I want age to be 16. Then I want Jesse to be 35. So if I save this, this will change the answer I will get. So if I come here, refresh, now you can see I'm having 51. The reason why is this: like I said when I was explaining, that anywhere you see age, you have 20, right? So yes, you have 20. Anywhere you see just you have 20. So now in JavaScript, I can update the value inside age by just doing age, which is this 20 now, is equals to 16, which will take out this 20 and now update age to be 16. Then just I'm updating it to be 35. So when I'm now doing my calculation, yeah, this is now giving me 35 plus 16, which will give me an answer of 51. So with var and let, you can update the value of the tag. But when you use a variable like const simply stands for constant. So if I do const, let's say year, I can do 19 is equals to 2023, which is the year when this video is being created. So I can come back and say I want year to be, let's say 2022. Then let me change age to year. So if I save this now, come back here and refresh. Now you see at the bottom here, I'm having this uncut type error, assignment to const variable. It simply means there's an error. I already have a const variable called 2023. I cannot update it here. So one thing about const variable is once you've created it and you've assigned the value to it, you can't update it again. So it's always constant. It cannot be updated. Why for JSON and age, meaning for the var variable and the let variable, you can update it, but with const variable, you cannot update it. So if I take this out by commenting this out, I shouldn't have any problem. So if I refresh, you can now see I'm having an addition of 2058. Okay, so that's the variable part. Let me take these guys out under variables. So to be very, very sure, let me just adjust these guys in. Okay. So the next one I'm going to touch is called, so we've done with variables, we are going to do with data types. So the first data type I'll be touching is called a string. So there are different kind of data we have. Then I'll touch the number. Then I think I'll stop at Boolean. So every other one you can get them from the document. Okay. So for a string, I'll create a variable called name. Now in JavaScript, you don't just write alphabet like, let's say, JSA. So when you just write like this, it simply means you are calling a variable you've created, just like I did earlier. So if you want to indicate this is a name and not a variable, you have to put them in quote. It's either you put them in single quote or you put them in double quote. It does not matter. So when you put your name or your alphabet in quote, it simply means you are creating a string. Now, how again I'm going to know is, let me just create a variable called type. Now, there's a function. When we get to function, I'll explain. that enables you know what type of data you created. So the function is called type of. So in here I'm going to put name, so which is the name I'm getting from this. So I'm going to save, then I'm going to come here and say I want to see the type. So type, okay, then I'm going to do another variable, then I'm going to do age, then I'm going to assign 20 to it. So this time around, let me first of all show age, because that's the one we've done. So I want to know what type of data is stored inside this age. So if I save, come to my variable refresh, you can see that the type of data stored is number, so which is the 20 I'm having here. So if I check for name, if I save, come here and refresh, you can see that the data type is called a string. So let me change the single to double, so just use one. So when you're using double, you have to use double twice, or if you're using single, you use single on both sides. So if I save, it still gives me the same thing. Now the third type of data we have is called a boolean. It's either it's true or it's false. So in this case, I'm going to do, let's just say bool, just to indicate. Then I'm going to do true. So if I come and check what type of data I'm stored inside bool, bool, this will give me a different type of data. So you can see the data type is called boolean. So these are three different data types. We have more than this, but this is what I can be able to cover, so that I will be able to touch a lot of things in this JavaScript class. So these are a different kind of data type that we have in JavaScript and how it's being used. So you can see that this data type is different from this that is being stored in these different variables, and this is different from this. Then you can use the type of to know the kind of data you are saving. Okay, so I'm done with data types. So let me just adjust this guy under data types. So I'm going to scroll down. Then this time around, I'm going to do assignment operator. So that's the next topic, assignment operator. So I'm going to touch them one after the other. So the first one I'll be touching is called the, okay, it's not assignment operator. The topic should be operators. Sorry for that. So operators. Then the first one will now be assignment operator. Assignment operator. So assignment operator is used to assign, which is an equal to, is used to assign a value to a data type to a variable, just like how you've seen me I've done before by creating a var age, and I'm assigning, so one equal to is an assignment operator. I'm assigning 20 to it. So that's one thing assignment operator gives to you. So this is the assignment operator that is assigning the variable number, sorry, the data type number to the variable age. So this is called an assignment operator. Okay, so the next type of operator I want to touch is called the comparison. So the comparison operator are of two types. So 2 equal to, then, and there's the one of 3 equal to. So I'm going to explain that now. Now the comparison operator is used to compare things. So for example, I'm going to create another variable called my age. Then I'm going to assign my age to be 21. So the first thing I will do is I'm going to create a variable and say answer. So I'm going to, now assignment operator gives you your answer back in boolean form. It's either it's true or it's false. So if I do, so I can just do is age double equal to simply means equal to my age. So if I try to check the kind of answer I will get, so if I come here and do age and say, let me know what will age be. So if I save, so now this might be confusing because I'm using an assignment operator, then I'm also using a comparison operator. So this is how it works. It's taking this first, I'm checking, I did the same thing. If they are the same thing, to store the answer here. If they are not the same, to also store the answer here. So if I save this, come back to my browser refresh, you can see I'm getting a false as an answer. So he's saying 21 is not equal. Comparison operator we have is a double equal sign. So in this case, I won't be doing age. So let me just do for first name is equals to, then let me do this string Jessa. Then I'll do the last name. Then let me assign the same Jessa, but this time around capital letter. So now if I do the new answer, then I do the same too. So this time around I'm checking if first name is the same thing with last name. So if I'm using 2 equal to this, so let me just write on my document new answer. So if I do new answer, then save this. If I come and check, this should give me false. So what he's saying is this first name and this last name are not the same thing. So why if I do 3 equal sign, so if I do 3 equal to, should also still gives me the same. So you can see I'm still getting the same false. But initially the 3 equal sign is meant to check for capitalism. So I don't know why this is doing this. Okay, let me try this. So if I do just in capital letter, then hope I'm spelling right. Last name, first name. So if I save new answer, so if I refresh, I get true. So if I do this all in small letter, so just then I do this in capital letter J, Jessa. So even if this is equal, I should still get false. So I'm getting false. So what if I'm using 2? Initially 2 is supposed to give me 2, except if they've updated JavaScript of recent. So it's still giving me false. So I think they've updated this, so there's no need for us using the 3 comparison. Before, the 3 comparison was meant to check if the capitalism are the same thing or not. Okay, so the next one I want to touch, so out of the comparison operator, so there is the, and so there's the next one is the greater than and the less than. So I can just say, is age greater than my age? So if I just check answer, if it is true, I get an answer. So I can just come here and cross check. So it's saying false, age is not greater than, because 20 is not greater than 21. So what if I say is age less than? So this should give me true. So true. So that's the less or greater than sign. So there's another one called the less or equal to comparison operator, and there's the greater and equal to comparison operator. Okay, so this is how it works. So let's say, for example, to first of all check, are they equal? Then okay, let me just add that to this. So this should be equal to or less than, if I'm picking it right. So this should be this. So it's checking is age. Okay, so let me just increase this. Let me do 21. So the first thing to check is age less than my age. So in this case, if I don't do this, this will automatically give me false. So if I refresh, I get false. But when I now do the equal to it, so this is checking for 2 comparison. So the first one to check if age is less than my age. If it is not less than my age, this will now check if age is equal to my age. So in this scenario, I should be having 2 as the answer. So that's the comparison. So this one checks for 2 comparison. If the first one is false, it checks for the second one. The second one is also false, then it gives you false. So for example, if this is 22, I should get false. So you can see I'm getting false here. So which is saying 22 is not less than 21, which is false. Then 22 is not equal to 21, which is also false. So if I do this now, then I get true. So greater or equal to gives me true. All this will still see how they come into action. Okay, so the next one I have is the not equal, but I won't be touching that. I want you to get that from So there's the not symbol, which always gives you the opposite of whatever you are doing, and there's the not equal to. So if I do not equal to, and there's the not less than and the not greater than. So this gives you the opposite of what they initially would give you. But I won't have time to go into this. You can cover that yourself. Okay, so that's the ISD. That's as far as I can go when it comes to operators. Now we have different operators. In time I might touch some of them and let you know these are different operators we have. But presently, these are the ones we'll be working with. Okay, so that's for operators. So the next one I'll be touching, so let me just comment this out, then move them forward. It's called our while loop, the loop tag, the loop. So we have loops. Now when it comes to loops in JavaScript, we have three different types. So there is for loop, so there's the for loop, there's the while loop, and there's the do while loop. Okay, now this is how loop works. Loop simply means it repeats. I want you to keep repeating a set of code until a condition is met. So as long as that condition is met, keep repeating a set of code. It's like saying put a movie on repeat or a song on repeat, so the song keep replaying until you stop it. So that is what loop is used for. I want to write some couple of codes, and I want you to keep writing them until a condition breaks. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is the for loop. So this is for the for loop code. So for loop. Now how for loop works is this. For loop takes three different parameters. So I'll do for open bracket, then I'll create a variable inside this bracket, and I'll name the variable, let me just name it me, or let me call it loop. Then I'll assign a value to this. Let me just do 0. Then after that I put a semicolon. Then I need to, the next thing for me to do is to increase, to put a condition. So I'll now do whereby I will say if loop is greater than, okay, let me do less than 10. Then after that I have to increase loop. So I'll do loop is equals to loop plus 1. So what this is simply doing is loop is having 0. Then this will now come to this and check is loop, is what is stored in loop is it less than 0, which is yes. Then it will go ahead and run some set of code, which I'll put here. Then it will increase loop by 1 by adding 1 to 0, which will make loop 1. Then the condition keep running until what is stored in loop is not less than 10 again. So if then I have to do a bracket. So here I'll do document dot write dot write. So here I'll say I want you to show me what loop is. So if I do this, save, come back here, refresh. Now you can now see I'm having 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what is just happening is showing me everything loop is. So I can do something else apart from bringing out loop. I can decide to say repeat this word. So this word should be repeated 10 times. Okay, I can just easily do a break tag here, so that each of them will be done separately. I hope this is not written. So if I refresh, you can now see repeat this word repeated multiple times. So like I said, what happens is this loop will start from 0. Then it will check is 0 less than 10. If it is not less than 10, it will run this code. Then it will add 1 to 0. Then 0 will now be 1. Then to check again is 1 less than 10. If not, it will run this code. Then add 1 to the one I have here. Then to check again, then run the code add. So you keep adding. Now where I will have an error is when I fail to increase my number, which will give me what we call an infinite loop, meaning a loop that does not end, which will make your website keep loading without ending. So if I refresh this, so let me just refresh this now. Then you can now see at this place, you can see my JavaScript keep loading because it won't stop, because I have an infinite loop, a loop that won't end. What this is just doing is she's keep adding one to loop, keep updating loop to be 1 and not 0. So that's not increasing. So for me to increase, I'll do loop and say, okay, I want you to pick whatever loop is, add one to it and store it on loop again. So it's like updating loop and keep updating loop. So if I save this, come back here, stop my JavaScript, hope it will go. Let me just copy that, open on a new page, then close you, then paste you. So then I can have my code working back. Hope I saved this. Okay, let me paste my code. Yeah, so repeat this one. So that's for the for loop. Okay, the next one we have, like I said, is the while loop. Now the difference between the for loop and the while loop, they do the same thing. This time around I will be creating a variable outside, so I'll call this variable while. Okay, I can't use the while keyboard. Let me just call this Jessa. Then I'll assign a variable to it 1. Then this time around, then I'll use the while keyword. Then inside the while keyword is where I'll now put my where I check. So I'll now do if Jessa is less than 8. I can do 15 if I want to. Then in here I will now put what I want to be repeated. So I'll do document dot write. Then in here I will just do running this code with while loop. Then I put my break tag. Then inside the code where it's run, that is where I'll now do my incrementation. So I will now do, okay, there's another shortcut for me to increment. I can just do Jessa plus plus. So Jessa plus plus is the same thing as doing Jessa is equals to Jessa plus 1. So instead of me repeating this code, I can just do Jessa plus plus, which is a shortcut, which will automatically be increasing Jessa by 1. So if I save this now, I should have the two code running and each of them running separately. So I think, let me do a break. I think this should be fine, but they will be underneath themselves. So you can now see I have my while loop also running and my for loop running. But the difference is just the same syntax. The difference is, for for loop, I'm writing every condition inside the same bracket, while for while loop, I'm separating them. So the variable will be separated, then the condition will be separated, then the running of the code will be separated. Then inside the running of the code, you now have your incrementation, unlike the for loop. Okay, while the do while loop almost work identical with the while loop, so I'll be creating the variable called do Jessa. Then this will have the variable 2. Then what I'll do here will now be do. So I'll say document dot write. Then this time around I'll just simply do running code with do while loop. Then I put my break tag here, tag. Then that is when I will now have my condition. So then the while will now come. So because it's called a do while loop, then inside the while I'll now say Jessa, that is do Jessa. Then I'll say if do Jessa is less than 1. So this code will only run when do. So what do while loop, why do while loop is different is the code will run once before it will check for the condition. In this case, do while loop is 2, which is do while loop is no less than 1. So this code will stop when it gets to this place, but it will run just once. So if I save this now, come back here, refresh, I should have this code written just once, because my operator here, what is stored in do Jessa is 2, which is what having here is 2 is not less than 1. So this code is not meant to run. Because I'm doing do, the code will run first, before it checks. While for this, it checks before running the code. In this case, it runs the code before checking. So this code I already run before it now checks for the condition and see that the condition with this is false, then it stop working. So that's the difference between the loop. So there's the do while loop, there's the while loop, and there's the for loop. Okay, so that's for loop. Let me comment that out. Then the next topic I'm going to touch will be functions. So function is what we've used. So I just want to now explain. Okay, now function is a set of code or a block of code which anytime you need those code to run, you need to call them. So it's like giving somebody, let me use the word, you give somebody a keyword that anytime you want to come to my house, irrespective of who is at the gate, when you just say this keyword, they will let you in. If you come in 100 times, as long as you mention that keyword, you'll be let in 100 times. So the same to work with function. So function is like a keyword you have that has some set of codes. When you want to use those codes, you just need to call that function. So how do you write a function? So to write a function, you do either any of the variables. So you create a variable first. In this case, I'll be using the const because I've used the let and the for. I've used the var and the let. So I'll be using the const. And this time around, I'll be calling, let me just call this my function. So this is the function name. Then it takes equal to, then it takes a bracket, then another equal to a greater than, then a curly bracket. So this is the name of the function. Now this whole code there is indicating you are creating a function and it must go in this syntax. So there must be an equal to a bracket, then another equal to a greater sign. There shouldn't be a space between this equal to and the greater sign. They must be together, then your curly bracket. So in here, code, let me just do here, function code goes in here. So let me just do a good example. So in here, I'll just do document dot write, then I'll do my function runs. So if I save this, come to my browser, nothing should work. Now the only way I can have this written on my browser is when I call this function, like I just explained. Now to call the function, I just need to write the function name, then I do a bracket. So this is how I call a function. So we've been dealing with function. So while is a function you have in JavaScript, that's why you see this. Then for is a function you have in JavaScript, that's why you see this. There's also print, so it's also a function. There is, what is it called again? There's alert. Alert also is a function. I think I should use alert in place of document.write. So document.write is also, so write itself is a function. Yeah, write is a function. So we have different functions, but the one I just do, my function, is the one I created. The ones I just show you are the ones that comes with JavaScript. So if I save this now, let me just take this one out. We don't need you for now. So if I refresh this code, I should not have my function runs. So if I want this repeated multiple times, let me put a break tag here. So BL tag. So I can just repeat this. Sorry. So just copy function, save, then refresh. Okay. Now I can decide to do a for loop and decide to run the function when the for loop is working. So how it's being combined. So instead of me writing function, I'll just do a for loop code, comment this guy out, then inside there I'll just call this function. So instead of writing all this, so then I can take this. So the for loop will determine how many times the function will run. Well, this is the code for my function. So if I save this, I should have my function repeated multiple times, as you can see. So this function won't run if I don't call it. Now the loop is the one that determines how many times the function will be called. Okay, so let me comment this out. Okay, so this is just the basic. So apart from this, another thing I can do is, okay, let me just do some mathematical equation. So let me just do var num1 then equals to 1. Okay, let me do 5, then var num2 is equals to 10. So I can just do document. Okay, I'll just, instead of doing document, I'll use the alert function like I explained. So I'll do alert. Okay, let me just alert it. So I'll do alert num1 then plus num2. Okay, another way I can go about it, I can decide to create a variable called ans like I've been doing before. Then I do my num1, then I'm going to do plus num2. Then in here I'm going to just alert answer. So ans. So if I save this, then let me just bring back the while loop to determine how many times I'll get this answer. Then in this case I'll just do 1. So if I save this function should only run once, so which will give me an answer which is showing this once, which is 15. So alert will bring up this box for you to see your answer. So I can just click close. So if I do 2 here for the loop, I should have that box done twice because my function will run 2 times 1 then 2. So because I want it once, so that's I'm doing 1 here. So okay, I think that's fine. So another thing I can do is I can make this dynamic. So instead of me doing alert, I think I still prefer the document dot write so that I have it on my browser. Okay, so instead of me doing this, I can still work with it, but this time around I'll be doing num1 is equals to 5, then I'll do num2 is equals to is equals to 15. So instead of me writing all this, I don't need this. I've already created that there. So I just have to do this. I think this should still work. So I'm having 20. So what I just did, instead of writing the variable inside the function, I put it inside the bracket, which is called a parameter in JavaScript. So in there, I'm assigning 5 to num1, then I'm assigning 15 to num2, but this is still giving me a dynamic number because if I decide to repeat this loop twice, I still get the same answers twice. So what if I want the answers to be different? So if I want the answers to be different, be out tag, if I'm writing this right, be out tag, so plus. Okay. Now, okay, what I just did here is this is a variable that is holding string. Then this plus is now adding this tag. So this plus, when you are adding a string and a number together, it's called concatenating. I'm joining this guy to this guy, which will give me a break tag. So if I save this now, instead of me having 2020, I should have 20 under themselves. So this is how it works. So when you are doing a string to a number, you don't get them in addition, you get them being combined together. Okay. So instead of me writing this, I can decide to do num1 then num2, then I will make this number dynamic. In this case, I won't be doing a loop so that it's easier for me to call my function myself. So I will do function, my function, so my function, then in here I will assign two numbers. So I'll do 10, then I will do 25. So what happens is, in this case, unlike the previous one, I never added a value to the variable I just created. Now, because I'm putting this in a bracket, I don't need to do the var keyword. Now, if I do them, it still works, but I don't need to. So I just need to indicate the variable name, then also indicate the variable. So I don't need to indicate the keywords. So in this case, now I'm not doing equal to like I did earlier. So what I did was to just create the variable name. Then I'm now passing the value as a parameter to the function. So the first number I put will now be assigned to num1. It's like doing like this 10. Then the second number is now assigned to num2. It's like now doing 25. So instead of me writing it manually, I can just easily pass them as parameters to my function. So it simply means if I repeat this code and change this to 6, then you should be 8. Now I've called this function twice, which simply means I'll get two different answers. So you can see one is 35 and one is 14 because I'm passing these parameters separately to this code. So there's a lot I can do when it comes to function. I can add parameters to it. I can do more than that. Okay, I think What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Okay. So that's the basic when it comes to function. There are different things you can use function to do. I think we'll be seeing this when we are creating our calculator. Then I will combine all these codes together. Okay, so that's for the function. I can repeat the function as much as I want. So I'll just comment this guy out, then gradually pick the next topic. Okay, so the next topic we'll be looking at is called the if statement. So I'll just do that. So, or we'll call them the condition statement. Sorry, condition. So they are called the condition. If I'm spelling right, condition statement. So when it comes to the condition statement, we have the if statement, the if and else statement. Then we have the if, else if, and so if, comma, else if, and else statement. So then we have the switch. So there's the case and the switch. I think if I'm picking that right, case and switch. So I won't be touching the case and switch for this class. I'll be touching the if and the else if and the. So if you want, you can just go through the document to have a better understanding of this. Okay, so I'll start with the if. So the if and else. Now the if and else is to have two different codes. Okay, let me just do condition. So this is the condition, then code. So code to run, then the else, then code to run. So this is the structure for your if statement. Now there are two codes here. So there's the condition. Now when this condition is true, then this code will run. So code run when condition equals true, then this runs when condition equals false. So this code will run when the condition is true, and this one will run when the condition is false. So I'm going to comment this out and show you a typical example. So I'm going to create a variable and I'll call it, okay, let me use the let keyword. I think I've been using the var for a while. So let me just say I want name to be Jisa, then I want password to be deck. Okay, so I can decide to do if name is equals to, in this case, deck, then I want this code to run. Welcome. So I'll just do document dot right, then I'll do welcome, then plus name. Okay, else, then I will do document dot right, then I will do sorry plus name plus cannot not be found. So I'm spelling my found well. Then I do this. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to indicate whatever the name is, in this case Jessa. So but what I'm having here is tech. So if Jessa is equal, if this is true, this code is supposed to run telling me welcome Jessa. But if this is false, this code will run telling me sorry, Jessa cannot be found. So if I save this, let's see which of them will come, and that should be Jessa cannot be found. So you can see sorry, Jessa cannot be found. I think I should create space by just adding space here, then adding space here. So same thing to welcome, so that the names are not combined. So this will just easily create me this space. So you can now see, sorry, Jessa cannot be found because what I have in my condition here is false because name is not equals to text. But if I do is name equals to Jessa, that should load my first code. So Jessa. So if I save this, come back to my browser, refresh, you can now see welcome Jessa. So that's how the if statement works. So if statement checks for the condition. If it is true, then the code here run, then check if it is false. Okay, so another thing you can bring is you can have an if inside an if. I did not do that in the while loop and the loop. You can have a while loop and a loop inside the same function, but it's a little bit more advanced. So when we get to React and so on, you'll be seeing more of those functionalities. But let me just introduce that to this. So I can now say if password. Okay, so instead of me saying welcome, I want to have the syntax. So I'll now do if password. Sorry, I failed to use a let keyword to create my password. So if password is equals to tech, so this should be TECH, then I can just do, so I can do document dot write. So I'll just say the same welcome, then plus name. Okay, then here I'll do else, then this time I'll do document dot write, then I'll let the user know the password they put is wrong. So I'll just say sorry, an error occurred. I think let me make that an h3 tag, then I close the h3 tag here. So h3, then I'm going to put a put tag here, then there I'll have a paragraph tag and say you enter. I think let me break this down so that it's easier for everybody to work with. To do that, okay, no need. You entered an incorrect. You entered an incorrect password. Then I can just save that. So I'll just keep this, copy this, repeat it here when the name is wrong. So I'll just say sorry, an error occurred, username cannot be found. So when the name is not Jessa, the person understands the username cannot be found. Then if the name is Jessa, another if statement that is now checking for the password if it is tech. If it is the same thing, so that's the syntax when you are trying to log in with your username and your password. So when the username is correct, I check for the password. When the password is correct, I take the person to the person's account. But if the password is wrong, I let the person know your password is wrong. The username is wrong, I let the person know your username is wrong. So if I save this, this should give me nothing. That's strange. So password, hope I'm doing everything right. So if I save this, okay, this should give me welcome name. So why am I having empty? That's strange. Okay, let me check where the error is coming from. So let me do pass. Oh, sorry. So it's supposed to be password. So so if I save this, refresh, now I have my welcome JSON. So if I do this to be text instead of tech, if I refresh, I have sorry, an error occurred, you enter an incorrect password. So why if I do a correct username and a correct password and a wrong username, I get an error that says username cannot be found. Okay, so that's how you can combine if statement. You can have an if statement inside an if statement. Okay, what of the else if? Okay, in this case I'll be doing a different scenario, so I won't be using username and password. So I'll say I have 4 different colors, so I'll do colors. Okay, no, before I get that, let me just quickly introduce to a so that it's easier for me to work. So I'll introduce another topic called, let's start with array. Okay, no need, I'll explain that one later. Let me just finish this up. Okay, so I'll do var color 1 is equals to yellow. Then I can do var color 2 is equals to blue. Then var color 3 is equals to red. Now this might be a little bit complex, just bear with me. Okay, so I have my variables, so I can do if, then I'll check. Okay, so let's say var user. Okay, let me just do var user input. So I'll be introducing a function in JavaScript called the prompt. Now the prompt enables a user to type something from the front end. I'll just say enter a color or guess my color. I think that is better. Guess my color. I want the user to be able to guess any of these colors. So I'll just say if color is equals to, so that is user input. So what the user types, if it is the same thing with my color 1, so if the person type yellow, then I can just do document dot write, then I let them know yes, you got my color correct. But what happens when it is not yellow? I still have blue and red for them to also get. So that is where the else if comes in. So there's else, then there's the if. So I do a bracket also. In this time I have a condition. So then the condition would now be user input. Now I'm checking for the second color, so this time I run color 2. So in case the person did not get the yellow, probably did blue, then I also let the person know yes, you got my color correct. Then if the person did not do yellow, red, blue, then I have to also check red. So that's where the else if comes in. Then I repeat the same user input, then equal to, then color 3 this time around, color 3. Then I do document dot write, then in here I do the same code. I think I should just paste that. I think I copied all, then save. So now when the person fails to get any of them, then it ends with else. So this will now say, oh sorry, you did not get any of my color correctly. Oh sorry, you did not get any of my color correctly or correct. So in this case, now if I refresh, I have this box that tells the user guess my color. So in this case, I'm going to put the color to be brown, where I'm guessing wrong. Then you can now say, oh sorry, you did not get my color correctly. If I refresh this again, I have, so if I do blue, then click OK, then I have them, yes, you got one of my color correctly. So if I refresh again, then do yellow, which I know is correct, you get yay, you also got my color correctly. So the else if statement helps you check for multiple conditions, unlike the if statement that only check for one condition, whereby when you want to check for multiple, you have to keep writing them inside themselves. So but with the else if, you can check for multiple conditions and give out a result. So that's for the if and the else if.
under our condition statement. Okay, so the next one we'll be looking at is a variable called an array. So our next topic is an array. So what an array is and how an array work would be covered. So we don't have multiple set of arrays, so let's now in the previous assignment we checked the previous exercise we did where I have to do multiple color by creating multiple variable. Now array give us the ability to just use one variable and create multiple values. So let me just do the same color, but in this case I want to create multiple values for this color. So all I just have to do is do equal to, then I'll do a square bracket. So this is how you indicate you are creating an array in JavaScript. Then I can now assign values to them. So I'll be using the same one. So yellow is the first value I'm assigning, equal to, then the next one is blue, then equal to, then the last one is red. So you can see that for every value I'm adding, I'm separating them with a comma. So that is right. So if I want more, I keep separating them with commas. So this is how I create an array in JavaScript. But how do I have access to this array? So for example, if I want to show yellow on the browser, I can easily just do document dot write. Now all I just have to do is write color by calling the function name, then I do a curly bracket. Now for every color, for every value you've added to an array has a number, or what we call a position. Now it starts from 0. So JavaScript does not start its numbering from 1. It always starts its numbering from 0. So yellow is on number 0, blue is on number 1, then red is on number 2. So if I want to say I want you to show me yellow, so I'll just do show me the data stored on position 0 in my array. So if I save this, come back, then refresh, I get my yellow. If I want to see red, I just come here and do red. Then if I save, I can just come then refresh. So instead of me adding multiple, I can just still repeat the same thing I have here with my array, with my loop. So I will just take these guys out. So instead of me doing color 1, I will just indicate the position of the color. So this will be 0. Then in this case, instead of color 2, this will be 1. Then in this case, instead of color 3, this will be 2. So if I save this, my code will still run properly. So if I refresh, guess the color white. So I should got my color wrongly. So if I refresh it again, then try this time around blue, I should get, hey, you got my color correctly. So that's what an array is used for. You can add multiple information. So it's not only string I can add to it, I can add numbers to it as well. So if I want to pick their position, I can just easily do that. So I can just do document dot write, then I will indicate the position. So sorry, document dot write, then color, then the position. So in this case, I want to pick the number 4. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 4 is on position 5 on my browser. So if I do 5, sorry, that should be inside there. If I save, come back to my browser, refresh. Now if I put a wrong, I should get this, but before that I get the number 4, which is what I want to get. So what I'm bringing from this is you can add any type of data in there, is to still work. But instead of me creating multiple variables to just have all this, I can just assign them into an array and I should be good to go. Okay, so that's for array. Now the next one I want to touch is called an object in JavaScript. So the next topic we'll be covering is called object in JavaScript. Now object works the same way an array works, whereby we have multiple data stored in one variable, but the way it's being done is different. So for object, I'm going to create a const, and I'll say, let me just call them users. So users info. So in here, I can just do, okay, so user info stay. So to do a object, I do a curly bracket. So this is indicating I want to create an object which will be stored inside the user info. Now object takes what we call a keyword or key, then a value. So that's the how object work. There's a key, then there's a value assigned to that key. So in this case, let me start with the first one. If I'm doing a string, so I have to do first name. Now this is a key, then I have to separate the key with dots, which is a colon, then the value, let me say JSON. Then when I'm done, I have to do comma if I want to do another key. So this time around, last name, then I have to indicate technology. So I think I should add the middle name, then this time around I can just do what. So I can do gender. So this time around I can just simply do female, then end with country, and this time around I'll do Nigeria. Okay, so the last one is the one I don't put a comma to. So this I've created an array, an object. So let's say for example I want to get the last name. So all I just have to do is pick the variable name by doing user info, then I have to do a dot. So when you want to show information on an object, you use a dot, and what you need to do is to pick the keyword and it gives you the value. So it works the same way with an array truly. An array works like this, right? I have to do color, then I have to do this, then I pick the position. Now see this position as a keyword is like having 0 then assigned to yellow. Are we together? Then 1 then assigned to red. So it's the same thing we are having here. So this is the key, this is the value, this is the key, this is the value. For me to get the value, I need to pick the key. For me to get the value, I need to pick the key. So that's how it works. But in an object, I have to do a dot, then the keyword. So if I want to get the middle name, I do middle name. So if I save, this should give me female. So you can see, sorry, word, which is the middle name. So if I want to get the gender, which is the female part, then I can do the gender. So if I save, come back, this gives me the female. Now I can make this a little bit complex before we go into creating our calculator. So to make this complex, I can have an array, an object inside an object. So instead of me having the name, I can just create a variable called name, or let me just do name. Then instead of me having, so this will now be an object that will have all this information. So yeah, so this will have a comma, so I don't have an error. Then this will have, so this is an object that is inside an object. So if I want to, for example, pick the last name, I have to indicate I want to pick the name first, then I've done another dot, then I say that name is having an object also, then give me the last name. So this should give me tag. Yes. So can I have an object, an array inside an object? Yes, I can have that also. So instead of me doing all this, I can just take this out. Then instead of that, I'll do an object, then I'll do what? I think just comes first, just then space, then I do tag, then space, then I do word. So then there should be a comma here so that I don't have this error again. So if I want to pick, then after name, I'm going to do this. Then if I want to pick what 012, then 2, then save. So if I come to my browser, then I get what. So I can have an object inside an array. Can I have an array? Can I have an sorry I can have an array inside an object? Can I have an object inside an array? Let's try that. So I'm going to comment all these guys out. So I'm going to create a const. Okay, let me just pick the color we have here, then let's move from there. So I think I have this. I'll just come here, then put them here instead of having this here. So I'm still using the number, but this time around I'll now be having an object. Then this object will now have me a keyword called num1. So that should have my first number, which is 1, then comma, then I have another keyword called num2. Then after that I'm going to have 2, then I have another keyword called num3. Then that should give me what is called 3. Okay, so now if I want to pick, for example, I want to display 2, then I'll come here and do color, then I'll do this. So I'm picking, so this is number 1, 0, this is 1, this is 2, then this is 3. So I'll say I'm picking 0, 1, 2, 3, number 3. Then I'll come after that, then dot, because this is an object, I have to now indicate the keyword. So I'll do num1, okay, num2 because I want to pick 2. So first off, I have to pick the position of the object. Then after that, I have to come outside the bracket here and indicate I'm picking an object, then pick the keyword of that object. So if I save this, come back here, then refresh, then I have my 2. If I want to do 3, then I have num3. So that should give me 3. So you can see I can have an object inside an array, and I can have an array inside an object, and so on and so forth. Then I can easily pick information from there. So I can just want you to practice with them, go through the document you have, and you should be able to be good with that. Okay, to end our JavaScript class for today, we'll be creating a single document, or let me say a single project called a calculator, whereby the user puts in 2 input field. Then we check if the input field is an okay. Before we check, we just convert it to an integer, then do the addition for the user. So let's start going. So the first thing we need to do is to create a variable called input1. Then this input1 will have the prompt. So this is where the user will be able to type in inputs, their first number. So we'll just say enter first number. So then we'll do another variable called input2. Then we'll do the same prompt, enter second number. So this is where the user will be able to put their 2 numbers. So now this is what happens. Let me quickly show you. So I can just easily do this. I can do const answer is equals to input1 plus input2. So whatever the user inputs, we have that addition. Then I can just show the user back on the document. So I'll just do document.write. Then I do input. So that should be answer. So if I save this, then refresh our document, the user will ask for input1. So let me just do 20. Then I'll do okay. Then the next one, let me do 10. Now where the problem is, I won't have 30, I'll have 20 then. Now this is why this error is coming up. Now when the user is typing in an information using an input field, what is being given to us? Okay, let me just check. So what is the answer? So let's see what we have. Is it number or string? So I can just do const type of, then I will do answer. So let me know what answer is. So const type. So that should now be type of. So I want to know what type of information I'm having. Then I will now do type. So if I save, come back here, cancel you, then refresh. If I put 20, Okay, put 45. Okay, now you can see that the kind of data being sent or stored in answer is a string. And like I explained earlier, when you are trying to add the string and the string together, they are combined. They are not doing addition. So that is why we're having 2010 and not 20, not 30. So for me to be able to get an answer in integer, I have to convert them into a string. So for me to do that, I'm going to use a function in JavaScript called parseInt. So parseInt is used to convert an integer, a string, into a number. So I'll do the same thing here, parseInt. Then I'm going to grab my second input so that this will convert whatever the person type into a number and convert this into a number, so I can do my addition, then give the person an answer. So I don't need this guy. So what I'll just do here is do answer, then save. So if I come here, refresh, the person can now put first number, sorry, that is another one. So let me just do 45, then let me do 20. So that should give me an answer of 65. So if I refresh again to test our calculator again, then let me say 700, then followed by 80,000. So that should give me an answer, 80,700. So our calculator is working. Okay, one more thing I want to add to this so that to make it look much more better. I'll come to our input field. Then in here, I'm going to bring back the button. Then here I'll just do use calculator. Now the idea behind this is I want whenever, so let me just put all these guys into a function. So I'll just say const calculate is equals to, so that's this function will run. So I'll just bring you here. Okay, so if I come here, refresh, I have a button. So when I click on use calculator, then the user will be able to now put their input field and get an answer. So what I'll just simply do is I want them, when they click on this use calculator, then that function should run. So there is there's an attribute in HTML called onClick. When the user clicks on a button, then I can just call my function. So I think I will just copy the function cal, then come to my JavaScript, then put that. Then so in case you are wondering how do I combine everything I've learned with JavaScript with HTML, this is one of them. So I can just save. If I come here, refresh, nothing happens. But when I click use calculator, then the person can put first number 45, then second number 900, then I can do 4, so I get my answer. So another thing I can do, probably will work on as an assignment, is to indicate what the person wants to do. Is it addition, multiplication, division? But by for now, our calculator is just doing addition. What if the person wants to do multiplication, the person wants to do division, to be able to allow the user to indicate by creating a number. But for now, I think this is okay. Alright, this is where we'll stop for our JavaScript class. You can go to the documents, and if you have any questions, please leave them on the platform. Thank you all. I will see you in our next class.